our first ever Lunch and Learn, which is a program that we hope to do more often as we move forward with a number of our suppliers. And who better to kick off our initial Lunch and Learn but the BC Liquor Board. So I'm happy to announce he just got back from Europe, I believe, so he's actually been traveling quite a bit. But Dmitry is the category manager for beer and refreshment, a dedicated beer category manager, something that we were asking for a very long time. So a couple of ground rules that we've talked about. Dmitry's going to cover about four points. They are very busy. They're doing a big business review on Monday. So we've got about 40 minutes or so. We're going to take some questions, but the questions really have to be about what he is talking about today. If we get through those questions, we'll be able to open the floor to some other questions. And as I said, what we can't have, and I will be moderating this, and just giving you a warning, I can't have a war story. I don't want to hear about a listing you didn't get 3 months ago, because I'm going to tell you to respectively please sit that down. Okay, so let's not go there. But my pleasure to welcome Dmitry for coming out of a very hectic schedule to join us today. Thanks.
Thanks, good evening, everybody. My name is Dmitry again. What you're hearing is a Russian accent, and no, I'm not managing spirits as well for the BCLS. It's beer-only effort. So thanks, Ken, again for inviting us here. I thought right off the bat when Ken talked to us about opportunity to speak to you, it's a great way to, at the high level, to introduce some of the things that we're going to be moving towards in 2018. And what a better way to reach out to a bigger audience than actually come here and man up and stand in front of you and actually talk about beer. Guys, you are our fastest growing category in BCLS, right? So in terms of overall sales, the craft segment is up 40%. And that's why I'm here, right? We are really in business to keep that trend going and to really build a successful relationship, and that builds on and produces even better growth, right? So today really what I'd like to talk to you about, at the high level, 4 things, right? So we're gonna touch on buying windows. So we're going towards what we call a buying cycle, and I'll explain what that is. We're going to touch on a little bit on status of a centralized ordering and the replenishment. I know there's a lot of questions, and we provided some updates in the past, and that I now briefly touch on where we are and what the new timeline is. We're going to talk a little bit about the local program, because I think it's going to be important to grow our relationship and work around some of the solutions that are catering to local needs for our stores. And we're going to talk a little bit about overall building a successful partnership and some of the maybe pain points that will allow our team and your teams to work more efficiently. And I'll explain what that is. Cool. And then after that, I'll take the questions to these subjects, so you'll have an opportunity to ask more questions. So what are the BCLS buying cycles? I know there's some larger breweries here that do sell into Ontario and work with the LCBO, and they have tenders, right? So that's what they have, and those tenders are quite structured. There's a lot of conditions and timing expectations to what LCBO asks. What I want to say, we're not going that way. We're not going to build this into LCBO super structured method of reviewing the applications and asking you guys to submit certain things. But we want to improve some of the coordination between us and the industry. Right now, it's kind of a 365 days a year, right? So what we want to do is we want to structure that and allow you guys to work with us on a certain method and have some discipline in that method. We want to make sure that we buy the right product for the right season. one of the, as I started, I've approved a couple of porters for the summer, and surprise, surprise, they didn't make it. So what we want to make sure that when I see the applications and you guys put in an effort to submit products, applications, they're appropriate for the season. So you're not wasting your effort, and you are, and these are also the things that we're looking for that particular season. We want to improve life cycle efficiency, and throughout going forward from our team and from our leadership team, you will hear a lot about the efficiency. So we want to make sure that we have a right product at the right place at the right time in the season. And what comes with that also, making sure that that product goes through the life cycle, right? So it goes through a proper introduction, it stays in our stores, and then we have a way of getting that product out of our stores, or that product goes away and so on. And then, of course, for us internally, which is extremely important, is the ability to standardize the workload around the applications. I know that sometimes becomes quite a bit of a pain for you guys to wait for 3-4 weeks for response on application. We want to make sure that by moderating the flow of application through some kind of a disciplined method, we allow to make those lead times be smaller. So what we have right now is we've established the buying windows, and we'll have more communication on this, which will be put out for you guys and will be published on the vendor site. So you'll be able to have this at your hand, and you'll be able to use this as you go forward. Now, what's important here is that this is the first step, and we're going to start transitioning into it in 2018, right? And as we go through this, what I would like for you to realize that we're not going to just, it's not going to be cut and dry. We're going to slowly roll this in and make this the part of the culture, of the relationship between BCLS and you. Cool? Number 2, centralized replenishment, and where we are right now with this. So as of the end of this month, all the stores in our system, all 100 stores in our system, will be on ESO. So what that means is that we are going to be making buying decisions or replenishment decisions for the stores. Now, that's a first step in transitioning to a whole new business model from what it was in the past. The second important part of this model is putting together a more or less uniform assortment in the category. And we've done, and a lot of you are familiar, we've done a lot of work in other categories. We've done assortments in spirits, in some of the wine categories. And we'll be doing that work in beer as well. Now, there are challenges that particular to this category, to beer and refreshments as well, and that has to do with regional differences, right? So beer is, especially in the craft segment, is quite regional. There are also difficulties around the space that we have in our stores and fixtures. So there's quite a bit of work that still needs to be done for us to arrive to a particular cluster, what you got, probably some of you heard, cluster model. Now, that work's going to be done after we've collected the information around the space, and then we've made decisions as to how we're going to assort product in our stores. What we anticipate that the assortments and clusters will be rolled out to stores along with the planograms sometime early 2018. In the past, we thought we can do the work a little sooner. It turns out it's not that easy. Cool. Local beer program, right? So local beer program is something that was put together back in 2015 with the purpose of allowing our stores to support local producers. What we've discovered over the course of past 2 years is that some of the parameters that we put in this program were probably loosely defined. Some of the implementation efforts weren't there, where we didn't quite have an ability to control what our stores were doing at that point in time. And then, and that goes hand in hand with the fact that stores were making their own decisions, right? Stores were choosing what products they're gonna carry. As that power going away from stores and they will no longer be able to make those decisions, we've decided that this program still has a place, and this program should still give an ability to store to make some of the local decisions and to bring the product from local breweries to cater to a local customer. Now, what we also decided that, we have a great variety of stores, and there's stores that have different size and different sales levels. So what we'll do, we'll expand the number of SKUs that stores will be allowed to carry in the local program. That will be decided by, looking at overall sales of stores, and we'll group the stores accordingly, and we'll communicate to stores what their SKU allowance is. Is it 12? Is it 18? Is it 24 or 30? And we'll put together a plan, and there'll be a method in place that will allow us to control that. The last thing what I want to do is to have a store that loads its shelf with 120 spec products, local products, which then takes away space from a listed product where somebody put an effort and it's a good product and it deserves a spot on the shelf. So that's a primary concern here, is to allow us to control this program and allow you guys to participate in this program at the grade level. We're gonna still stay with the 3 SKUs per supplier. So it was a part of the program in the past. We didn't have a method in place to control that. We will now. So we'll have an ability to review the assortments and to see how many SKUs a store carries. And really, at the high level, 3 SKUs per supplier is a good number, right? We don't necessarily want a store to carry 12 SKUs and take up the entire shelf, and I'm yet to be convinced that they can sell all 12 equally, right? So, and we also will allow stores to make decisions on the pack size up to 12. So whether that's a 12 can or 12 bottle, they'll be able to do that. We are going to expand the rule around 6 closest breweries to the store. So in the past, the definition of 6 closest was quite vague, right? And it's really didn't give us a chance to either control it or to be even fair. In case there's a brewery that opened closer, then nobody on our team wants to go in and tell a brewery that, hey, someone is now closer than you are, and you need to take your products out of the store. So we're going to expand this, and we're going to build in a regionality into this. The number of regions are still being decided, so we're going to probably break the province into regions, and we're going to work with stores to select the products that are relevant to that region, or if so, relevant to that particular community. Again, it'll give us an ability, it gives stores a broader reach. It'll give you guys a broader reach, so you'll be able to maybe sell past the infamous closest breweries that was done in 2015. And we'll publish more detail on that, and we'll inform the stores what that regionality looks like. And lastly, and it's probably most important, is that I get a lot of questions as to, well, who's going to planogram this, and how is it going to look into stores, and is it going to be clustered and assorted? And right now, the intent is to not planogram it separate from the rest of the beer, because our customer doesn't shop by listed and local product, right? If it's a Four Winds brewery and they have listed SKUs, it makes no sense to take their spec SKUs that are in a local program and planogram them down the aisle in a separate section. So what we'll do when we planogram our beer in stores, we'll take that into account. And it will be planogrammed as a complete flow of beer. That's how our customer shops right now. We're not going to be separating them from each other. A couple other things that I just want to mention here is that really the intent of this program is for you guys to develop partnerships with local stores. So we will putting processes in place that allow you guys to work with stores directly. Those of you who already deliver direct to stores, this is going to be a no-brainer. Those who are delivered through LDB, we'll be putting together some processes in place that will allow you in the future to go directly to stores as well. Cool? Now, the fun one, the fun part. So, building a successful partnership. And really, there are a couple of things here that I wanted to talk to you guys about that will allow us, that will make our life a lot easier, make your life a lot easier, and will put us on a path to creating even a smoother relationship. The good thing is that we're already there. We're already taking steps in that direction. And BCLS created a separate beer team, right? So it's not just me who's now manages beer category. It's actually a team of people who take care of decisions around replenishment, around the assortment, so and around planogramming as well. So we're already working in that direction. But what I would like to do is just to stress talk to you guys about a couple of points that will gradually start making that relationship even more productive. As we roll out the buying cycle in 2018, what I will ask you guys is to stay within the buying windows, and which benefits to everybody, right? It's the ability for you guys to plan ahead. You'll know what those buying windows are, and as you look to those dates, it will give you an idea when you should submit certain product applications. Keep your submissions. We're working with a very, very confined space, right? So, and as I keep being reminded, is that you can't put everybody into our stores. So as you guys look at your products and look what you want to sell in our stores, I'm asking you to keep it focused, right? Meaning, keep it to what you believe will have the biggest potential in our stores. The best example is when I started, I had a supplier who submitted 8 applications, and I guess they thought, well, I'll submit 8, some of them will stick. That's unproductive and inefficient for our team to sift through 8 applications, and it's also a waste of time for you guys. A lot of you met with me right now, and we actually make those decision and discussions in the meeting, right? When we talk about, well, what BCLS is looking for, I give you some guidance as we should or should not apply for, and it's all about creating that efficiency, allowing you guys to put the effort that has the best amount of success, right? When you submit for the product and you believe that this is the best thing ever, which it very well could be, what I'm asking you guys is to think through all the elements that will ensure the success of that SKU in our stores. And it's everything that starts with LTOs or WPPs and going all the way through in-store programming, through tastings, in-store tastings, through taste magazine support. So there's a lot of elements in the submission that gives us some degree of confidence that this SKU will have all the needed support to be successful in our store. Really, the last thing I want to do is to take a SKU, put it on a shelf, and then 6 months from now see that it's totally abandoned. There's no WPP activity. The supplier is not doing any tastings. I don't never hear about supplier. So then it's a little bit of a waste of spot, because make sure you can be sure I have another 5 applications that have all that stuff flashed out. So think about it. Think about it when you either meet with me or you make the submissions. When you fill out the applications, do your best filling out information that are relevant to BCLS. And what I mean by that is that we recognize that we're not your only business, right? You have business outside of BCLS, which is great. But it's important to us to see what you estimate or forecast or think you're gonna do in our stores. So I always want to talk to suppliers and see what they are thinking this great SKU, this great beer will be in our stores in the listing period. And it is important because there's a variety of SKUs that all have different potential and all have different role in our stores. So I urge you guys to think about that and think really about information that is relevant to me versus BC total or the West Coast total, or however you look at your numbers. Right now, we're working, putting effort into redoing the approval letters that will include quite a bit of useful information to you guys. Everything about the dates, about the quantities, about additional information that we require from you. Like when you submit the application, we do want your tasting notes, we do want if you're approved, we do want your tasting notes, we do want the images. So when you get the approval letter, please pay attention to those dates, right? A lot of times we'll put in the dates that will tell you when we expect the SKU to be launched in our stores and when we're gonna discontinue it. And that "and" date becomes quite a sticky issue with us a lot of times. So it's there, it'll be in the approval letter, you'll know what it is, you'll be able to prepare accordingly. It gives you a chance to plan ahead, and it gives us to plan ahead as well. And then lastly, a couple of things just additional things around building the partnership, and what I would like to mention, just overall, ensuring that we share information. One thing that drives, I know my boss and our team gives us quite a bit of headache is when we don't hear from the supplier when the issues happen. If you have a production issue, if there's a quality issue, if there's a stockout issue, if there's any kind of issue that disrupts and there's a potential that we're not going to have either good product in our stores or we're not going to have any product in our stores, we want to know about it. It's important that since now we are making purchasing decisions for stores, it's important for us to know about it so we can adjust, we can plan accordingly. Another thing that we've spoken to your leadership, to the guild leadership team is, and something that I'd like to see is you guys working towards the best before dates or our pack on dates. We have a lot of beer in our store, and as we travel through our stores, I get a little concerned when I walk through the section and I see tons of beer with lots of dust on it, and there's no best before dates. And it is concerning for a couple of reasons. One is that, for us as a store, and two, it's actually have a bigger impact on you guys. If the beer is bad and consumer brings it back, we'll pay, we'll refund the money. But what happens is that consumer's not going to buy your beer anymore. They'll buy something else, but they're not going to buy your beer. You understand where I'm going with this. So what I ask you is start thinking about. It's not mandated right now, but it's important for us to. It's important for you guys to help us manage all that sea of beer in our stores accordingly. And all this has to do something with communication. We're here to, our team specifically, are here to not to work against you guys. And I know a lot of you sometimes get declines on applications, but at the end of the day, it's all about building the partnership. It's all about making sure that as a business, we make money for the province, we pay for our salaries, and we build the relationship with you guys that allow you to grow. So we're here for you, right? I'm available. Bill is always available. So yes, so guys, these are the 4 points that are going to be really relevant for us in 2018, and that's something that's going to shape our business, and it's all the concept of efficiency. These 4 things really going to make a difference in the next 2 years.
Thank you very much. That's great that you guys have come out. We really do appreciate that. We do have time for questions. So, okay, none? All right, we'll move on. So because unfortunately we don't have a mic, I can do the Phil Donahue thing. No one knows who that is probably anymore. Age. You're going to have to say the question. Please keep it quite short because I'm going to have to listen to it. Then I'm going to repeat it. The best of my knowledge. So, any questions? Yes, Cam.
You're talking about stockouts and informing you guys of when those things happen. I know with this the changeover and everything, we have a bunch of seasonals that are in the system, and we're getting orders from the LDP for past seasonals that we no longer have. I think for a lot of us, what we do is small runs of things on a regular basis. Is there a way to who should we talk to about those outages, and is there a way to put something else in place of that outage?
Did you hear that question at the back? Damn it. Why don't you come up here? Come up here. Because that's way, I don't even know what I ate, if I ate today. My attention deficit.
The question was, I'm curious about who we should inform when there is a stock out, and because we all do a lot of seasonals, and with the new ordering system that's happening with the LDB, we're getting orders for things that we are no longer making. So is there a way to put something that we are now making into the place of what we are no longer making? I guess is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, so good question, and I guess that's something that starts with our team, right? So to answer right away is either myself or Jonathan, replenishment also on the team, or David for that matter. All 3 of us will be able to, if you contact us and tell us that, hey, I don't make the SKU anymore, we're done, the season is over, we absolutely want to know about it, so then we can either make appropriate action on it, and the action will be turning it off. Now, if you want to place something in place of it, that's not as easy to say yes or no, because we make plans and changes accordingly, right? So if it's a one-time buy that did well for us, but that's what the intention was, then the answer is probably it's going away. If it's a seasonal, and we've had that discussion, and we've talked about, hey, the seasonal comes, it's done, I'm going to introduce something else, that's a fair game. Then yeah, I want to know what you have and why we missed, maybe why on our team, or myself in particular, why we missed that turn-off date for the seasonal. So myself, our team, Jonathan or Debbie, so we'll be able to help you with that.
Yes?
I just wanted to ask if, is your team open to, I think you mentioned meetings with suppliers to sort of build that partnership, and is your team open to scheduling meetings just as a way of learning a little bit more about the details of what you're looking for, and where in your process do you prefer to do that, or are you able to do it?
The question was, is your team open to scheduling information meetings? And that was the gist of it. There was another good bit at the end. That's good. So is your team interested in scheduling meetings for information purposes for the brewers?
So the answer is yes. I had an ambitious plan that I'm going to meet with everybody within the first 9 months. That didn't happen. Obviously didn't happen. Now, we run into situations when we have 6 meetings a day. That's a lot, right? And it's still not meeting with everybody on the important issues. So if it's something more about information sharing, I would suggest if we have like a business review meeting, and we, if we meet twice a year, lump that into that and allow me maybe to give you additional 15 minutes or additional 20 minutes for us to talk about that part versus scheduling a separate meeting. We're strapped for time and space. So the answer is yes, but I suggest if we have added to your business review meeting. Yeah.
Chloe, you didn't think I was going to do that, did you?
I was going to stand on the table. We have been led to believe in the past that there is no room for new listings. Is the new warehouse and the implementation of your position changing that factor? Is there room for us to list new SKUs?
We've been led to believe that there is no room for new SKUs. Is the addition of the new warehouse that's coming next spring going to change that situation?
So there are 2 parts to it. One that I don't have control over. I don't know how the LDB is going to manage their warehousing space, and what are they going to do about accepting new suppliers into their space. This was part of your question. That, I believe, is the answer to your question is yes. They don't accept new suppliers into their space right now until they move. But that's to them to manage. In terms of accepting new lists and new products, we don't have a freeze on new product. And that's, however, it is extremely, extremely competitive. We pulled the stats on how many submissions I had since the day I've started, and we're running at almost 400 submissions overall for beer, right? So some of them are regular rotations, some of our new products. So you have to realize that we have to pick and choose what will be the best SKU for our stores. So no, there's no freeze on new SKUs. If it's a hot new item and you truly believe and you can support it and it's just going to sell like hotcakes, I want to know about it.
For those who weren't at the AGM last night, we did have information that the warehouse that we shared with the wholesale side, the warehouse is expanding double the size. They currently list about 10,000 SKUs, and they will be moving to 12,000 SKUs, so that's 2,000. But that's not just 2,000 for craft beer as much as we think it should be. And there is also a waiting list. If you are not on that waiting list, you want to get on that waiting list. So please, we're going to get the information for you from the wholesale side, but that's a different side. So, okay. Lanka?
So for a SKU that you got listed, or you successfully got a listing for, how do you determine how many stores that product's going to go into, and how does a planogram work with that?
When you get a listing for a SKU, how do you determine how many stores that goes in, and how does it work within the planogram?
$1 million question. And that's the short answer is still to be determined. Right now, in the transition process, since we don't have the entirely great understanding of what our space is, what our fixtures are for beer, so we can't make 100% decisions on where it goes and how it goes. Right now, we operate off of like SKUs or history, right? So if you have a history with us, you had a SKU with us, we'll use that history to put you in a similar number of stores. It is never perfect. In fact, we run into situations where we put you guys in the wrong stores, or we put too much product. That's the reality that we have to deal with right now. But what we want to do is we want to use something to be as less disruptive to our stores as we can. So right now we use a history. Sometimes Jonathan and myself and I will look at like SKU sales and we say, well, this is what they've done. This is how many stores there were. And let me stress something with you guys. We are shifting our focus, and again, going back to the efficiency, right? We are shifting our focus from looking at, this is what we want from you. We want from you $500,000 on every SKU. That's not the intent. That's definitely not intent. That's great if if all SKUs do that. But the intent is to have the right SKU in the right store, in the right spot, in the right time. There's a perfect example. I use that example. There's a perfect supplier. I'm not sure if it's here or not. Who was in 20 stores, and I begged him to go in more stores, and he said no. I was blown away. That supplier has SKUs that does $20,000 a store, $20,000 a store, and he didn't want to go a bit more in stores. That's the example of efficiency. Not everybody's going to do that, but this is what we're looking to do. We're looking to have the SKUs that don't canvas our stores, and it's not about 120, 150, 180 stores. It's about having the stores that will have the biggest, have the best sales potential. And if it's a 50 stores and you sell $15,000 a store, I am very happy. I am super happy. That SKU is not going anywhere, right? So that's what we're looking for. It's efficiency, not necessarily the.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the planograms, if we were to fast forward, say, 3 months down the road, all the stores are converted to ESO, they're all on planograms, what sort of allowance do each individual store get to swap out low active SKUs for something that they have a history that had high record sales?
The back of the room hear that? Sorry. That was a good one. It was such a good question, I was mesmerized by it, actually. I was like, that's a good one.
Let's just see if I can remember what I say. So if we fast forward 3 months down now and all the stores are over converted onto ESO and planograms, what sort of allowance does each individual store have to remove something from the planogram to add in a SKU that has a successful sell rate? Does that make sense?
So the 3 months from now, stores will not have that authority. So that will come through us. That's the short answer to that question. Now, stores will have an ability to do that in a local program. That will be within the store authority. Now, I don't want to say that it's 100%. It's everything goes through head office. Everything goes through Dmitrys' team. We'll have an ability to have a conversation with the store, and there is something that they really need to have to satisfy their local needs, or there's something that really makes sense for them. We'll listen to the store. We'll make the choice. At the end of the day, that change will come from us, but it can be in certain instances initiated by the store if there's a particular case for it.
Yes.
Given the pressures you've described on your time, the expansion of the warehouse and the explosive growth of the category, are you aware of any plans that the LDB has for increasing manpower or focus in your department?
Excellent. I'll answer that question. Yes. The question was, given the growth of the segment, the popularity, the size of the stores, and the amount of 400, as you heard, 400 listings, is there a plan to expand your manpower?
Bill, would you like to answer that? So the answer to that is no. So not in the next year, at least. But I also have to remind you guys that we'll get better, right? So I am 9 months into this job and in this world, period, right? I come from the outside of your industry. So we have a brand new team that will create some of the efficiencies that we're lacking right now. So we'll get better. Now, I do fully agree with you that for the size of business that we have, we are short, maybe a little short-handed, Bill. But the reality is that that's where we are. We have a team of 3 right now, or maybe 4. but we'll get better. So it's the transition. Some of it is transition pains of me coming on board and not being familiar with certain things.
Bill likes to tell me he used to do it himself, all by himself. There's 4 breweries, but he did it all by himself. Yes?
I'm just wondering with the new plants coming in, if there's going to be any changes to the tasting program, especially with the buy local program coming back. Sometimes we want to do tastings on Fridays and Saturdays, but the wine and spirits are booked about 2 months in advance. So especially if you're bringing in seasonal SKUs, I'm wondering if there's any way to do more ad hoc tastings on Friday and Saturday to get the education out there to craft.
Will there be a change in the tasting program? We'd like to, because sometimes we have could we do ad hoc tastings? They seem to be always booked by spirits and wineries. Given the local program, the move towards a local program, will there be more opportunity for craft brewers?
No, that's a good story. Answer.
There you go. I don't know the answer to that question. So.
Okay. This one is a good answer. We are hiring a coordinator between us and marketing, and we are taking over the tasting program. So our department will take it over. So what that means is we will be doing thematic tasting. So if we do a craft beer weekend, we expect everybody to step up and do stuff at our stores for craft beer this weekend, and we'll be able to advertise it and put it on our web. And the products will be, all over the basically BC. So we're going to start, and it won't just be craft beer, guys. It'll be New Zealand wine, it'll be BC wine, but that's the program we're going to go to, because our category managers have conversations with people and promise tastings, and then the other guys don't come through. So we're going to take it over probably it'll be done by April 1st for sure, and hopefully you guys will be involved when we say we need 120 stores this weekend, and if everybody steps up, we'll keep continuing to do this. It'll help out.
For those of you who might not know, that's Bill Michael, who is in charge of the retail division. We have time for one question and one hands up, so you're it.
And a follow-up to the previous question. We had an issue stocking out the store right before an approved tasting because the centralized ordering system didn't issue a PO in time. Is there a way to avoid that?
Is there a way to avoid stocking out of a SKU before you do a tasting because the EO system did not supply the store?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the short answer, there isn't, but our stores have an ability to order your product if it's a listed product and it didn't come through ESO. They have a secondary system that allows them to place a secondary PO that will bring the product in for that particular date.
So on November 9th and 10th, we're going to do a trade supplier symposium all day long. Everybody will be invited. If you do business with us, you'll be invited. So if you've had sales in our store in the last year, you'll be invited. It'll be 2 days. You'll be invited one of the 2 days. And we're buying you lunch, so you should come. It's the only time we're going to do it. Yeah, and we'll be talking about not just beer, but about all the changes we've had over the last year and what the future holds and how we want to do. So there'll be a little bit of repetition of what Dmitry's been talking about, but it'll be worthwhile to come. I expect to see everybody there. We have 2 days, so we expect a couple hundred people a day. So, and if you don't get an invitation, you should probably email Dmitry.
All right, well, I'd like, on behalf of the room, to thank you both gentlemen very much to coming out.